I love this definition of salesmanship. It's older, so they say salesmanship instead of salespersonship, if you will. But nonetheless, here's the point. Salesmanship is a puppy selling himself to a small boy. That speaks volumes. But why? Because this little guy is a selling machine. But what is he doing that really is selling? It's amazing. But you might be asking, how? Well, you have to, first of all, overpower logic to reasonably want to buy this little puppy. Why? Well, because all that's going to happen is you're going to be cleaning up after this puppy. You're going to be taking care of it. It's going to cost money. It's going to take time. They're not super easy all the time. A parent knows this, but the boy really wants the puppy. So instead, they start coming up with reasons why. They might make up logical explanations, at least ones that they think is logical. Now, some studies do find that there's some emotional health to having an animal around, and there is something to that. But again, it's emotional. So what does all of this boil down to? It boils down to the answer of what selling is. It's a transference of emotion or a transference of feeling. A transference of how you feel emotionally, what you feel about this. That little boy wants that puppy. That puppy sold himself to that little boy. It's insane how effective he really, really is. But here's the deal. You're not a puppy. So how can you learn the sales tactics of a puppy? Well, one thing that I want you to know is we're doing this because I want to show you a few stark contrasts or complete opposites of how much so of what a puppy does to sell himself, that you and I can learn so much from this. And I'm serious. This is not a joke. So once we're done with this, I'm going to use some scientific studies. You're going to be shocked at how this is going to be so effective. Here's why. Because in sales, one of the most effective ways that we can sell is by finding out about the person that we're looking to sell to, our potential customer. The only way we could do this is by asking questions. But here's what's interesting. Dogs can't ask questions. Dogs don't know how to ask questions because dogs can't talk. So then how are so many puppies selling themselves to so many people without asking questions? Well, questions are extremely effective. And when you learn about how to do them later, they're going to skyrocket your sales. But first, I want to show you how to sell without even asking questions. That's what they do. That's what we're going to learn in this lesson. Then we're going to marry it later with actually using questions. But just imagine if you could learn to sell just alone without even talking like a puppy does. That is amazing. And that's what you're going to learn. You're going to use this to burn through the mazes of coursework or of tactics or skills. Just walk right through it with the most important things that you can do. And then we're going to, again, marry that with when you actually communicate. But this is all stuff that you do even before you know anything about them, okay? We're going to learn how to do that. So let's dive right in. Now, I like this. Gary Halbert sold countless amounts of products by simply using copywriting, which is sales ads. He did this even before the digital age, where he would write different ads and mail them to people, and they would buy just on what he wrote. That means he couldn't ask any questions. He couldn't get any feedback. They were basically reading what he wrote, and they still wanted to buy whatever he had, and they would go line up in troves. Now, it took him a lot of work in order to figure out what really worked to be able to do something like this. So what he did after he succeeded and sold hundreds of millions, he then had some courses he taught, and he would ask his students, he'd say, if I'm going to set up a restaurant, let's say I'm a restaurant and I wanted to sell my product, I bet I could come up with the one thing that none of you could top. All of you could come up with different ideas based on how to make this restaurant succeed, but my one thing would beat it. Well, that piqued everyone's curiosity and they tried it all. But it wasn't great food. It wasn't low prices. It wasn't a good location. It wasn't even a niche. Gary Halbert nailed it by saying this one thing. The key to any restaurant success is the starving crowd. You start with a group of people who have demonstrated their hunger, and then you satisfy that need. When you find out they're hungry, you satisfy that need. But find out first that they're hungry. Find out what they're hungry for. How big is that? Then everything else falls into play. You find out what they need, what they crave. I'll even go as far as to say that restaurants that aren't even that great, if they could figure this out, then they could even destroy everybody else, so to speak. I say this because a man in the desert or woman in the desert who's starving or super thirsty, they're not going to be picky about their next meal. Find out exactly what they're craving. Now, again, if you can marry this with a great product or service, again, how much better are you going to be? But I just want to show you the bare bones of what drives people. You can't create desire, Derek Halpern said, but he says you can only stoke and channel it. You can only stoke and channel desire. Great salespeople give their audience exactly what they want. A great salesperson gives whoever they're talking to, pitching one-on-one or a large amount of people, exactly what they want. But what do people want, need, and crave? A puppy dog knows exactly what that is. Now, the dog doesn't even know this. That's what's so interesting about it. The dog's just acting on instinct. But when we take a closer look at what's really going on, we find out what we can mimic, and that's this. A dog makes people feel important. People crave feeling important. They want to feel special. They want to matter to someone. They want to actually seem like they're a player in a game, so to speak. What I mean is the game of life, actually playing a role. With a dog, they have to take care of it. So they feel that important to this creature, but also the creature makes them feel like they're important. Also, a person craves to be understood. They want to be understood. You ever hear some people talk about how they think their dog really understands them? Now, I know some of you dog lovers out there are going to be upset with me for saying this because they're going to say, my dog really does understand me. But please look at the principle here. They feel understood because, again, the little dog looks so great. They think it's adorable, but it's not even talking to them. So they're using their own imagination to think up all the great things about this dog just because they love this dog. They like this dog because this dog makes them feel important, makes them feel special. How? How does this dog do that? Okay, let's look. Enthusiasm. That's right. Enthusiasm. A dog is excited when you come home. A dog thinks everything you do is great. Why? Well, the dog's not talking, so why do you feel this way? Well, because it's excited about it all. It's panting, it's great, it's right at your lap, it's so excited, okay? Enthusiasm speaks volumes. Enthusiasm makes people feel important. It makes them feel like they're a VIP. And this was true of a baseball player. For years, he didn't do very good on the team. But interestingly enough, he wasn't very enthusiastic to be on the team that he was on. He was on a professional baseball team, and he wasn't really that happy to be on that team. They weren't an amazing team anyway, and it really showed. Eventually, he left because he just wasn't really doing much for that. But just before he left, he decided, you know what? Even though I don't really feel enthusiastic about it, I'm going to just make myself be enthusiastic about it right now, about playing this game, about being on this team. He did that. Things changed. It was insane. The teammates wanted to be around him. He started playing better. Okay, but then he left it and went to the sales world. He remembered the lesson of enthusiasm, and he became a top seller. He did amazing, sold way more and made more money than he ever made playing baseball, which that's a lot because, as you know, professional baseball pays pretty well, and that's what he was in, was professional baseball. But the point is to be enthusiastic. Now, how? Well, we don't want to go overboard, okay? It needs to be genuine. So be genuinely enthusiastic about your product or service, and be genuinely enthusiastic about them, the customer. How? Well, to be genuinely enthusiastic, not overboard, but to be excited about your product or service, meaning learn what it really does. What does it really fix? What problem does it really solve? And be excited that it does so. When people see that you're excited about something, things change. Some studies have been done where it's pretty comical, actually, case studies where a crowd will go and look at something and it'll get others to crowd around and look as well, even though there's nothing there. Just because people are interested in what others are interested in. If that's enthusiasm, I want to see that. I want to know why you like that. If you're just like, well, what I have here is pretty neat. Who wants that? Instead, show them that you love it. Show them what it does. And then be enthusiastic about them. Now, this is something you definitely don't want to be overboard with about them. You could actually be a little bit over enthusiastic about your product or service and still make the sale. But if you're too overboard about them, it could come off as stalking. So you have to be careful, of course, or it can even come off as ungenuine. So how do you be careful? Well, what you need to do is make sure that you're excited about the right things, not just about seeing them. Smile when you see them, great. But the thing is, they know there needs to be more about them that you're enthusiastic about. So that means you have to show some personal interest. Don't be nosy, but show interest. Find out about their things that they like, that they're willing to tell you about. And if you learn about some of those things even before you see them, even better, because you could Google some things about topics that they like and become knowledgeable about it. That way, when you talk to them, you're talking about their favorite subjects. Who doesn't like it when you talk about their favorite subjects? Same concept here with the puppy dog or the dog is that they're excited in what you're excited about. They're interested in what you're interested in. Same principle here, okay? Those are some great ways and tactics that you can do to make them feel like they're special, to be enthusiastic about what they really want to accomplish. Find out what their pain points are and what they need to be fixed and what they need to be completed, and be enthusiastic about fixing it, about their lot, about what they're doing, okay?